Welcome to the Killer Countdown. Each episode, two contestants will count down the greatest horror films of all time. The two will collaboratively create a top 8 list of that episode's topic. Join the Killer Countdown if you dare.
Welcome to the Killer Countdown. I am one of your hosts. I am Casey Kelderman. Join with me, as always, Blake Ginithan.
Hello, buenas noches.
Blake, how are you?
I'm fantastically tired.
So am I.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just got done doing SuperCon 2019 this year. We are just drained of all energy, which is all right because we're not going to be in this countdown.
No.
We're just going to be standing off in the sidelines watching two combatants go at it one-on-one for the Child's Play series.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's introduce these two fellow horror fans, and let's kick it off. I want to start with Adam. This is Adam. Go ahead, introduce yourself, and we'll get to why you're on the show.
All right. Well, my name is Adam Dillenburg. I've been in Sioux Falls for about 7 years, and yeah.
Just love horror movies?
I do love horror movies.
Yeah.
Probably not to the extent that people would think like, oh, this guy should be on a podcast, maybe. But yes, I do. I do love horror movies. I have grown up watching a lot of horror, and I still love them today. So yeah.
What was your favorite as a kid?
So at 3 years old, my very sick individual of a stepfather introduced me to From Dusk Till Dawn. And I loved it. And if you don't know what From Dusk Till Dawn is, that was Tarantino and George Clooney playing brothers that need to get away to Mexico because they are the most wanted sick men in America, and they spend a night in a little strip club bar, and things go haywire pretty quick. Everybody turns into vampires, and it's just a BA movie, dude. I just love it.
It's a pretty good movie.
Yeah.
Yes. So we brought Adam on for one reason. He likes to talk shit on our social media, and I love it so much.
I do too.
Yeah. So yeah, that was where this came from. We got to see if Adam can put his money where his mouth is, and I think he can back it up. I can feel it. He is joined on this episode by Mr. Andre. Andre, how are you?
I'm doing great today. Yeah, thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where did your love of horror movies come from?
My love of movies in general really came from my father. He's a huge movie and just entertainment fan when it comes to movies and music in general. My dad has always been just huge in collecting both, and I just kind of grew up watching movies, and that's really all I ever knew was music and movies growing up. And my dad has a huge movie collection at home, and that's really all I've ever known. Just something that was part of the family, really.
Yeah, so you and Adam actually know each other. How do you two know each other?
We went from church, actually.
And we're going to put you on a horror podcast.
Yes.
That goes hand in hand.
Yep.
Why not?
Hey.
It's a new perspective.
Yeah.
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 I like having that perspective, actually. I think it adds a little wrinkle to it. So why the Child's Play series, guys?
We were just trying to think of really a countdown that was something easy to come up with, and not something that wasn't too complex. We were thinking first thriller movies, just just any type of psychological thriller type of movie, but then we decided on the Child's Play series. I'm not sure how. We
were kind of just throwing a few things out there, and we only had a few weeks, and we knew man, we're gonna have to sit down and watch some of these. So hey, it worked out that there's 8 movies in the Child's Play series. Kind of works out perfect, and it's probably maybe one of the most common series that hasn't already been tackled on the countdown. So figured we'd go with it.
Yeah, we've been hitting the major series on our end here. Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street. We're doing Halloween next, and yeah, I'm kind of glad I'm not in this fight because I want to see someone else take on this series.
I wish I was a little bit, but I'm fine sitting back and watching this happen.
Yeah, I'm interested to see where this is going to go.
I'm too.
Yeah, so we're going to kick it off like we always do. We like to talk about our recent watches, some of the movies that we want to recommend to each other. So I'll just throw it out to the room. If you guys have any recent horror movies that you watched.
That is not a part of
this. That is not a Child's Play movie.
Yeah,
just throw it out
actually, there. I've watched a few in the past couple. Well, first of all, I went and saw It 2. And if you're an American, you've probably gone to see It 2 by now. I kind of thought it sucked. I'm not going to spoil it for anybody, I guess, whatever. You probably know the story if you've seen the original, read the book, whatever. And it pretty much sticks to it for the most part. But frankly, I don't know. I didn't think it was that great. They got a killer cast together to do it, and it just, I don't know. It didn't live up to what I wanted, I suppose. But so there's that.
There is that. I didn't think it was terrible, but it might just be the source material. I keep saying that, and I don't know if it's just that the adult story is not as compelling as the kids one.
For sure.
I don't know if it's just that. And the biggest thing I took away from it, though, that Bill Hader is a superstar. He's so good in that movie.
He steals every scene in that movie.
Yeah. But besides that, it's not scary.
No.
There's nothing scary about it. It does feel like a horror epic, but not in terms of any real character development or scares.
And
but it just does. It feels epic in scale for being such a small scale story.
I think it's the storyline and the characters that really drive me nuts. Like, I don't care about who wrote you this poem in 8th grade. Like, you guys don't even remember each other, but like a big part of the story is I gotta find out who wrote me this poem. I'm so in love with whoever wrote me this poem, and I don't know. It's just a stupid storyline for the most part. I just want more Pennywise. You know, that he is what I want, and Skarsgård kills it as Pennywise.
Not to spoil anything for people who haven't watched it yet, but the best scene in the movie is under the bleachers at the baseball game.
Yes, absolutely.
It's the biggest horror scene in the movie, and I kind of wish the movie was that.
Yep.
And there's been talks like, oh, maybe we'll do a bigger cut of both chapters, and maybe we'll do a sequel or a prequel. I'm like, do it. Like, maybe step away from the King novel and do something different with it. Don't stick to that. So
yeah, I think I heard on a Big Picture episode, maybe a 6-hour where you combine the movies plus some of the deleted scenes type of thing, which I would sit down and watch it for sure. But yeah, we'll see.
All right, anyone else have any other recent watches?
I watched a couple. I watched The Shining. We went to
the 4K.
Yeah, the 4K release, which was amazing. It looks great. I don't know what I should say about The Shining. It's like everyone, you see all this in The Shining, right? Yeah. The one thing that struck me this viewing was how fast the movie moved for how slow it is, I guess. It felt like that we were in and out in an hour. You know, like it just flew by. And then I watched Crawl, the new Alexander Aja movie. I thought it was bad. It didn't speak to me. It's 85 minutes long, and it still felt like 3 hours for me. And I thought it'd be, like, we're trapped in a house with a hurricane and some alligators, and I don't know, I just was bored. I will say my daughter was screaming through half of it, so that might have played into it. There is one scene where this guy gets every limb ripped from his body by like 6 alligators at once, and it's pretty cool. But other than that, I did not enjoy it.
That movie had unbelievable reviews from both fans and critics.
Yeah, I know.
Believe it.
And I'm a big fan of his, the director, so I don't know, it just didn't click with me. So.
Yeah, I haven't watched it yet. Yeah, like Adam was saying, it's been getting really good reviews for being an alligator movie.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll still eventually watch it.
Yeah.
I want to see it.
I recommend you see it.
Yeah, The Shining, the 4K release that we went to, it's gorgeous. Obviously, it's one of the top 5 movies. I'm like, I have to see in the theaters at least once.
I've been looking when Omaha they announced it. They were getting the 4K, and I was like, oh, I want to go down and see it, but it was a Monday night, and I'm not doing that. So when this came up, I was like, texting my wife like, I want to go so bad to this. So.
Yeah, and The Shining is one of those movies. Like every time I watch it, you get something new out of it. And this time watching it, I watched it completely different from the first couple of times I've watched it, because I remember the first time I watched it was as a simple, it's a ghost story. That's all it is.
Yeah.
This time I watched it where I'm like, Jack, he's already deranged. He's kind of looking for an out from his wife and kid, and watching it that way, like and then the next time I watch it, I can watch it completely different.
Yeah, I know. I feel like I switched perspectives on how I feel about what happened. It even happened like twice when I was watching it Thursday. I was like, oh, it's all made up. Like he's just an alcoholic, and he like the demons or ghosts are just imaginary. And then I was just like, well, if she's seeing all this, and you know, like maybe the hotel is shining, and so it's kind of like I like that where it's open for interpretation.
Yeah, and you can, like you said, you switch perspectives throughout it. Like I said, I followed the beginning. I'm like, okay, Jack is already kind of crazy. He's looking for his way out from his family. But then you get into Danny, and I'm like, well, Danny's the main character in this movie. And sometimes, like, I haven't really watched it that way before. And I kind of want to watch it again before watching Dr. Sleep and watch it completely through Danny's eyes, since Dr. Sleep is his story. And I'll probably... I'll watch that movie another million times again. So, but it was gorgeous on the big screen.
Yeah,
and
it sounded great too.
Yeah, obviously it's The Shining. There's not much else you can say about it. So, you guys have anything else you watched recently, or
other than these Child's Play movies? The most recent horror movie I think I watched was Ma.
What did you think of Ma?
I didn't mind it at all. I actually enjoyed it.
I sort of love it, honestly.
Yeah, I did.
I really do. It's such a good time, and it's one of those movies where I think if Octavia Spencer's bad in it, the movie doesn't work. But she's so great in it, and
right. And she seems like that. Like she's a real person. That, like in that movie, seems like something that it was almost plausible.
Like the stuff that she's doing is kind of like. This is like really pushing the boundaries, and then it's like, oh, I guess I can kind of see why she's actually doing all this, and I kind of empathize with her.
Yeah,
in a way.
they didn't go too overboard with it.
Well, I don't know.
I mean, they went overboard, but I mean, as far as how she was acting, what she was doing, and why she was doing it, it wasn't. It seemed like it's something that was real.
That's
that,
what I'm
you could
saying.
Understand.
Like, I think if she wasn't good, it'd be like, all right, this is implausible. But the fact that she's so good in the movie, like, you're like, okay, I can see this happening.
Yeah.
I actually saw Ma too. I had to choose between Ma and Brightburn, and I chose Ma. And I was actually, both my wife and I were both pissed that I chose Ma leaving the theater.
You didn't like it?
I was actually pretty entertained, but I knew that my wife was not having it at all.
Oh, I love taking my wife to movies I know she's not going to like.
So it's probably not a movie I'll visit again, but I'm not mad that I watched it.
Yeah.
But I did also watch Revenge because of your guys' female list. I got on Shudder and watched that, and I just gotta say, man, like, I'm just a sucker for a good revenge story because I mean I've always loved I Spit on Your Grave, Last House on the Left, Straw Dogs, which ironically all three of those movies were like 70s movies that have remakes within the last 15 years.
That's a good point.
And I love all of them.
Have you seen the Straw Dogs remake?
Yes.
What did you think of that?
I like it.
I think it's great.
Yeah, I do. I enjoy it. So like all 6 of those movies I really like. So that was a movie going in. I'm like, yeah, this is kind of something I like, and I did. I loved it. The last 20 minutes of Revenge is so freaking intense, dude.
Speaking of implausibility.
Dude, so intense. Just like, holy crap, what is about to happen? So that's one I recommend.
I remember watching that, and I'm like, there is so much blood everywhere. How is no one slipping? And sure enough, someone's like slipping through the hallway.
More like, how is this dude alive?
Yeah,
with that much blood?
No kidding.
But yeah, that was great.
That's cool. That's a good movie.
Then what was one more? Tigers Are Not Afraid.
Ooh, I have not seen that one
yet.
Yes.
So I knew you haven't seen it yet because you mentioned that last week. All I would say to that is pretty much what was mentioned last week, is that the characters, the cinematography, that is just a beautiful, beautiful movie. I don't know that I'd call it horror necessarily, but man, I would recommend it to anybody. It was just so beautifully done. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I'll echo that again. That movie's great. It's a dark fantasy, real life horror, I guess, is the closest thing you come to it.
When I get Shudder here in a couple days.
Yeah.
So.
Speaking of Shudder, I just watched a new movie that's actually coming out very shortly to Shudder. It's called The Furies. It's an Australian slasher film. They sent it to us and to review, and it's basically about this woman who wakes up inside this box in the middle of the woods, and she finds herself in this middle of this deadly game where these hunting masked killers are hunting all these women, but it turns out that each of these masked men is also protecting one of the women that are captured.
Oh, that is cool.
It's a very cool concept, and the gore effects are great. They are fantastic. That's the biggest thing I can give this movie. The concept is really good. I'll do a full review on this, but I felt there was no real character development. I didn't know who any of these people were. They were just kind of thrown into it, and then they're on the run. Yeah, there wasn't much character development, and it was honestly it's only an hour 22. It's really slow. Like it felt like I was just dragging along. But then I get to the ending, and I think I mentioned it to you, Blake, where I'm like, I need to talk to someone about the ending. Like it's just I need to find someone else who has seen this movie because it completely changed my perspective on it. Honestly,
when does it come out on Shudder?
I would have to look that up again. It's here in the first 2 weeks of October, so very, very soon. And yeah, that's called The Furies, Australian slasher film. Would I recommend it? I guess if you're into very cool gore effects and a cool concept horror, I would recommend it. It's a little slow at times, but I mean, it's only an hour 22, so maybe if I watch it again, it'll pick up the pace a little bit.
I might check it out.
Yeah, it's a fun slasher. But yeah, that was honestly the last movie I watched, and I haven't really had time in the last week to watch anything new.
Yeah, it's been pretty busy for you, anyways. Yeah, I've just been helping. Yeah,
I got a couple other ones here on the docket, and I'll echo what I said last time. If you haven't watched Creepshow, the first episode, it's amazing. So if you haven't watched that yet, go watch it right now. After listening to this, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, you guys have any other final recommendations or recent watches, or we should jump into this frickin' Child's Play series?
I don't think so. Yeah, I'm that's all my stuff.
All right, you guys ready for this then?
Good to go.
All right. Let's jump into the rules. Blake, I'll let you do the rules. You know them so well.
So we're gonna create a top 8 list. Thankfully, well, we would have created a list no matter how many there were, but thankfully we hit 8 with this one. We have a hat here with 8 through 5 numbers. You're both going to take turns drawing one number out, and whoever has 8 goes first, or 7 goes next, 6, 5, and then after that, we are going to do another draw with 4 through 1. You're going to explain the plot slightly of each movie, tell us why you like it, why it should be at this spot, and then we'll go on to the next one if there's no qualms, and each of you gets 1 stab per game. So if Andre plays a movie and you're like, no, this needs to be higher, you can stab it. But once you stab it, that's it. You lose it. And then the next movie that's played at that spot stays there, no matter what. So you each get 1 of those.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah,
I think that's the rules. So
yeah,
that's about it.
So we're ready to do this?
I'm ready to go.
All right. I'm going to just shuffle this really weakly. And who should we let go first? How should we do this? Should we just have Adam go first?
Sure.
Let's have Adam go first. Did you draw 2, Andre? You just keep them, Andre, if you want. Doesn't matter. So whoever has number 8.
Yes. Whoever has number 8, we'll start it off.
No, lay the number down first. Yep, right up here. There you go. And then whatever movie you think is the worst whatever you think is the worst Child's Play movie, lay that one down.
Yes, we are including all Child's Play movies, including the remake. They're all on the board, so it's going to be up to these two guys to decide the official top 8 list.
At number 8, Andre has chosen The Seed of Chucky. Andre, go ahead.
Yeah, so I'll have to say right off the bat that with all these, probably my bottom 4, they were all kind of interchangeable.
Okay.
But I just settled on this one. This one just, I don't know. For some reason, it just didn't really, it was entertaining. They're all entertaining. They're all, I enjoyed watching these movies a lot more than I thought I would. But for some reason, this movie just was the least impactful out of all of them to me. I don't know, just the seed, the Glenn or Glenda, whatever the seed's name is in this movie, that would just kind of threw me off. I thought it was just kind of, I don't know, it's kind of weird to me.
What's it about?
Basically, it's it's a follow up of the Bride of Chucky, and it's the seed of Chucky, obviously, and just trying to find his way in life, trying to find out who his parents are. Sees him on TV, sees the Made in Japan on his hand, and is like, oh, okay, yeah, that must be my dad. So ships himself to the set that they're filming like the story of their life at, and brings him back to life with a voodoo chant or whatever, the voodoo saying that he has, and kind of from there, just kind of things kind of just turn into the real Child's Play type movie from there,
Sure.
And it's like I said, it's entertaining, and Jennifer Tilly's in it again, like somehow they just keep bringing her back
as herself.
Yeah,
this time
as herself this time. So that's the way they could bring her back, is so
Yeah.
she could be herself.
Yeah.
But and then from there, it kind of seemed almost like a spoof of Child's Play movies, in a sense.
Okay. I haven't seen this forever.
Yeah, that's the one reason why it didn't seem as serious as the rest of them.
Yeah.
It almost seemed like they were making a spoof, like the Scary Movies.
Yeah.
With the Wayans brothers.
Sure.
But Child's Play. That's kind of the feeling that I got from this movie. So that's why it was at the bottom for me.
I have this movie at number 7, so I'm definitely good with it at 8. This movie is wild, and you just find yourself so many times being like, what the hell is even going on? And how is Jennifer Tilly in this movie as herself, as the doll? I don't even understand the Jennifer Tilly part of this. It's really weird. And then the Redman aspect. This movie just gets crazy, honestly. And I mean, you've got Chucky like taking care of himself to impregnate her. I mean, there's just really weird, bizarre scenes in this movie. It is worth noting that Don Mancini is a name that's going to get brought up a ton. He is the writer. He is the person who came up with Chucky. And this is his directorial debut. He did not direct any of the Chucky movies up until this one. So maybe that's why it feels a lot different than everything up to this point. But it is just a really, really weird movie. The end of it is completely bizarre. We end up discovering that Glenn is also Glenda. Kind of a split personality thing between a boy and a girl. And, well, Jennifer Tilly ends up giving birth to twins, so it works out perfectly, because then his spirit somehow goes between these two kids at the end, and it's just wild. It's honestly really stupid. I probably will revisit some of these movies. I don't think this will be one of them. I think I'm good never seeing this movie again.
I really want to rewatch this now. This sounds a lot of fun.
Yeah, this was my first time watching this movie, actually. There's a couple on this series I had never seen before. This is the first time watching it. And you make a good point, Don Mancini said this was his first movie he directed. So
yeah, he's kind of like the showrunner of the series.
He's the godfather of Chucky.
He loves Chucky and what's been come of it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm a huge Jennifer Tilly fan. I'll watch her in anything. So I definitely want to see a movie where she plays. I mean, I've seen it before, but I want to definitely watch this again.
Yeah, she plays her role well in this.
Yeah.
The role that she plays in this movie, she plays very well.
Yeah, sure. She's not a problem. It's who is she? Like, it's just really confusing to be like, she's already a part of the story, and then we make her a part of the story as herself. It's just bizarre.
Do you think it's too meta at that point, where she's playing?
Dude, it is.
She's playing Tiffany and Jennifer Tilly within the same movie.
It's wild.
Yeah. The Seed of Chucky I watched the first time when I was doing the Child's Play series. I don't know, 5 years ago for the first time, and I never wanted to revisit it again. But I haven't seen it since then, so maybe I have to. I don't know. I remember not liking it very much. It's completely not a horror movie, like Andre was saying. It's a straight up comedy. It's a spoof movie, and I like that the Child's Play series has comedy, but this one's just pure comedy where it doesn't always hit.
Yeah, that's like they almost did it intentionally. Yeah. Like they weren't trying to be serious with it. That's the way I felt when I was watching. It just didn't really fit in with the rest of the series.
Yeah, so are we in agreement? Number 8, C to Chucky?
I'm good with that.
Yep.
I forgot to mention, hand the card to Casey or I, and then we'll read off the film. So whoever has number 7, lay the number 7 card down, and then hand. I guess like you can just hand me the card, and I'll read. I'm really
Build
curious.
the suspense.
Build the suspense a little bit. And then whichever movie gets laid by the other person, the other person can just discard that movie that's been played already.
Yep. You can't lay C to Chucky more than once.
You could. I mean, no, you can't. All right. So at number 7, Adam has the pick, and he has chosen Cult of Chucky.
Yeah, Cult of Chucky. So
I am shocked.
So am I.
this movie came 4 years after Curse. It was one of the 2 straight to DVDs between Curse and Cult. And man, I'm shocked to hear that you're shocked because this movie lost me. So this movie sucks.
Would this been your number 8?
I had this at 8 and Seed at 7. I'm totally good with flipping them. Whatever. They both suck. I will never watch either of them again. Dude, this movie was wild. It was actually really confusing for a minute, and I had to go back to rewatch parts and hop on Google to explain to me what I missed because I did not understand what was going on, if I'm going to be perfectly honest about it. The movie starts, Andy has Chucky. He is in possession of Chucky's head. Like, so I'm kind of sitting here like, what? Because this was the first time I had watched it. I actually went to Last Stop to buy this movie for the sake of doing this countdown. And someone,
Is it not on Netflix anymore?
I guess I don't. No, actually,
It is.
Is it?
It is. I watched it on Netflix.
Oh
I'm
man,
pretty sure that's where it was
I
dropped for
didn't
the
think it
longest
was
time.
because I actually thought I searched on Amazon, and Amazon will tell me if it's on any streaming device, and it didn't. So that actually is upsetting. $4 down the drain. But anyway, whatever. That's fine. So this is the follow-up of Curse, which Nika is the lead character in these, and she's in the mental hospital. And so yeah, like I said, we know that Chucky is in Andy's possession, and this is basically following this group, and this was maybe the one thing. It almost had a Dream Warriors feel to it, with this group of people in this mental hospital that you're kind of following, and it was maybe the one thing that I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. But Freddy's awesome and Chucky's kind of lame, so this movie really overall sucked, in my opinion. But you're kind of following Malcolm, who had split personality, Angela, who's old and thinks she's dead, Claire, who burned her house down, Madeline, who smothered her infant son, and then Dr. Foley is the one kind of leading these people. And yeah, again, Nika's a part of this. So you have Tiffany come to tell Nika that Alice is dead, and Alice was a bigger part in Curse, so we'll kind of hear about that. And this really upsets her, and so she tries to kill herself, but she wakes up stitched up. She slit her wrist, and she wakes up stitched up. And also with Angela killed, and Chucky left a little note saying Chucky did it. And so Nika puts everything together with Tiffany coming to visit, and with Angela dying. She's like, oh man, Chucky's here. Chucky's real, because at this point she's actually convinced that Chucky was never a thing, and that she murdered everybody because the doctor has like hypnotized her into thinking this. And this is just where it gets a little crazy, because somehow there's like multiple Chuckies, and this was the part that I missed, was like, how is this happening? Because none of these are even the Chucky. Andy has Chucky, so how? I didn't even understand what was going on. But after doing my research, whatever, they did kind of explain that I guess Chucky found a way to be able to put his spirit into multiple dolls, and so at one point you've got 3 Chucky dolls at the end of this movie, fighting over who's going to go kill Andy, and the one with the bad haircut wins. Which
which I think is fair.
Yeah. Totally, absolutely.
Yep.
And the end of the movie is just bizarre because one of the Chuckies takes over Nika's body, and ends up Jennifer Tilly. Is it Tiff at this point? Dude, I don't know. Like, that part of the movie's crazy. Yeah.
It's both.
Sure.
She did the same thing Chucky did. She's both in,
both in the doll.
She's in Jennifer Tilly's body and
Right.
Tiffany's
You're
body.
right,
Yeah.
for sure. So at the end, Nika, as Chucky, ends up escaping and leaving with Jennifer Tilly. And yeah, man, there were some cool kills. There was a cool kill with like a sunroof window and like a CO can that was a cool kill. But overall, I really sat through this movie and then kind of had to ask myself what I just watched. I'm like, I don't know, man. I just was not very intrigued by this movie. So there it is.
I guess I'm fine with it. You putting it at 7. I actually had it at number 4. To be honest with you, like I said, a lot of these movies kind of run together for me. Like
a little bit.
It's
Yeah, I can see that.
it's really hard to put these in a legit order where you can be really comfortable with where they're at.
Right.
You could justify a lot of these being interchangeable with one another. I enjoyed this movie though. I thought it was a good follow up to Curse.
I sort of loved it. I had
Yeah,
fun with it.
I liked it. That's why I had it at 4.
I kind of loved it too.
Yeah.
It combines all three like eras of Chucky. Like you bring back Andy, you bring in Tiffany, and then it's Nika. So you have all three of those storylines coming in together as one, and it's nuts. And I've always wanted to see multiple Chuckies. Like they've been talking about that since I think the third movie they wanted to do it there. And to finally see that, I thought it was great, and like I wanted to see more.
Yeah.
Like that ending is I loved it, and I'm like I want to see what happens next, and who knows if that's ever gonna happen? You know, with the remake that
I wanted
that
to
came
see
out.
more too. I wanted to see what happened with Andy. You never get to see what happened with him. You
It
know,
is.
so I want some closure on that too.
Yeah.
You know,
it feels like a lot of these like straight to video horror movies. They kind of just, I don't know if they like are okay leaving plot points out, but I definitely get the whole like confusion. Like there are times where I was watching it, I'm kind of like, I don't really know exactly what's going on, but I guess I'm enjoying it. And I'm pretty sure Don Mancini made this, so
Yes, he did.
Yeah, so I'm happy he's sticking with it. So
Yeah.
All right.
So we leaving it there. Number 7, Cult of Chucky.
it's staying.
yeah, it's staying.
All right.
Who's got number 6? Andre. Hendrik Harta Casey.
Blake, is this about where you thought this was going to be going
Nope.
here? No?
Nope. But that's good. That's why we played this game. Cause
The number 8 is what I thought was going to be number 8.
no. I'm
no?
surprised. Nope.
All right. Number 6, Andre has selected Bride of Chucky.
Explain yourself. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I will. Okay, so this is following up number 3, and this one, I wanted to put it higher at first, but after I really thought about it, some of the other ones I just decided to put higher than this one. So this one's following number 3. Jennifer Tilly basically finds a dirty cop that can find the evidence of Chucky, that can bring his chopped up body when he got chopped up at the end of 3 in an evidence bag. She then kills that cop, stitches up Chucky, brings him back to life, and as you find out that Jennifer Tilly was actually Charles Lee Ray's girlfriend. And she's Tiffany in this point. Mm-hmm. She's not herself yet. And she has her boyfriend come over. He's kind of mocking Chucky, whatever, and then Chucky kind of goes wild, wakes up, becomes himself again, kills her boyfriend at the time, and Jennifer Tilly kind of finds out that Chucky really didn't care about her, so she's kind of angry with him at this point, so she locks him in this cage and then gets him like a female doll as a companion, mm-hmm. And then they escape and they kill Jennifer Tilly, and they go on this like killing spree, like a Bonnie and Clyde type thing. And with this one too, I kind of got a feeling with this one, kind of like I did with the Seed of Chucky. I had the same kind of feeling with at this point in this series, for me anyway, where it's kind of like a spoof. in a sense. Like I couldn't take it serious.
Yeah, after the third one, it seemed like there was a clear direction taken.
Yeah,
they decided to make more of like a. We're gonna have more fun with kind of like we did with Freddy Krueger in a way. You know, we're gonna.
They're also in a post Scream world with Bride of Chucky.
That's true. That is true.
Yep. And that just the whole way they were going with movies. It's like a lot of horror movies around then were kind of that direction, and that just kind of threw me off. That's why I put it here.
It's also the reason Ronnie Yu got to do Freddy vs. Jason.
Oh, that's a good point.
And it's the exact same tone as Freddy vs. Jason too. Same style.
Amazing. It's amazing.
I have not seen this one in a long time.
So Adam, you think what do you think of Bride of Chucky then?
I'm stabbing this movie, even though I know you're gonna piss me off, probably again. I'm stabbing this movie from 6, for sure.
Okay.
I actually love this movie, and I grew up. This was all over HBO, all over Showtime. It's the movie of all of these that I've seen the most. And it's not number 1 on my list, but I can't stand leaving it at 6. I love the era change. I think it's really hard if you're gonna sit down like in a day and watch them and go straight from 3 to this. I get how it's like, holy crap, this is insanely different. But I mean, this movie came out in '98, where 3 came out in '91. The horror, everything had just changed. I mean, this movie opens with Living Dead Girl, which is just like
great opening. Yeah,
come on, man. I just love it. It's fire, man. And for the first time, you're seeing faces that you might know with Katherine Heigl, who honestly, like, I hate her.
She's really bad in this movie too.
Yeah, and she's young and whatever. And
everybody's bad in this movie.
You know, no, it's not like an Oscar-worthy movie, but it's so much fun. This movie's so fun from start to finish.
I'm excited to rewatch this. This sounds like a lot of fun. So
I agree with that stab. I'm glad he used it.
I mean, Alexis Arquette, by the way, is Tiff's boyfriend at the beginning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, just a really cool role there for that. I think that was pretty perfect. There's just a lot of things in this movie that there wasn't once that I jumped or was like, oh man, but there were a lot of laughs. My wife watched it with me, and I think even she chuckled a few times. This movie introduced like doll sex. There's a thing, just hilarious. Asking him if he's got a rubber on, and he replies with, "I'm made of rubber." I mean, just perfect. I just enjoy this movie so much.
Chucky became a big one-line machine with this movie.
For sure.
There's a reason that this Chucky from this movie is still sold at Spencer stores.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yep. All right, so Adam has stabbed Bride of Chucky at number 6. Andre has a new choice here. So the number 6 spot will go to Child's Play 3.
Yeah, so Child's Play 3. This is following, obviously, the second one. This is where they are cleaning, kind of like discontinued the Child's Play. The toy company is in shambles, basically. They're trying to make a comeback from the murders, and so they the public is wanting the doll back, and so they remake a brand new doll, but they go about it in a very, very terrible way about remaking it. It's like, hey, let's just make a new doll without cleaning up the murder of the second one. You know, it's like it was a very lazy way of bringing him back. I thought
OSHA would be really upset with the way this was cleaned up.
Exactly. It's like, hey, let's just make the new one while we're cleaning up the murder scene of the second one. How about that? You know,
they literally carry the corpse of Chucky
over
the new plastic, and blood just gets all over.
And it's just like, okay, that's how we're gonna do this. All right, let's just not even try to have anything clever in this one. And he comes back, and Chucky. I think I liked Chucky himself in this movie. Yeah, I really liked Chucky. I liked his one-liners in this. I liked his.
I'm gonna be a pro.
I'm gonna be a pro. Yep, exactly. So I loved Chucky himself. The movie, though, I felt was very cheap. It almost felt like a Nickelodeon horror movie.
What happens in this one?
Chucky, they gift the first Chucky doll to the CEO,
right?
And he's thinking, my good guy doll's back. We're gonna make a comeback here. So he's up in his office drinking his scotch, playing some putt golf or whatever he's doing, right? And Chucky, breaks out, ends up, killing him, looking up on his computer where Andy's at.
Right.
Somehow, some way, packages himself.
Yes!
In a package.
Thank you. I was wondering the same thing myself.
I don't know how he did that.
It happens multiple times throughout
Yeah,
the series.
and so he somehow packages himself, right?
I was like, how did he?
Yeah.
Who wrapped this box for him?
Yeah, exactly. Let's just skip over that part.
Right.
And to the military academy that Andy's at this point, because Andy basically he's been a troubled teen, and so he's there, and this younger kid, Tyler, that is obsessed with this good guy doll, supposed to deliver the package to him, and he drops the package down the steps. Part of the package rips open. Sees it's a good guy doll, so he's like, "Hey, I'm keeping this thing for myself. I'm not giving it to Andy." Goes into some storage room, opens it up, and Chucky does his thing.
Actually, I have to say, when he pulls open the box and Chucky flies out of it, that made me jump.
Yeah,
I was not expecting that.
Yep. And so he wants to play hide the soul with Tyler, but then the I don't know, the commander or the general or somebody walks in and and finds Tyler there, and from that point Andy finds out that he actually, when they're out and doing drills, is when he sees one of the commanders or whatever walking with Chucky. Yeah. And Andy's like, he's freaking out at this point. He's having panic attacks, flashbacks, and all that. And then one of my favorite kill scenes is when they throw him in the garbage, though. Yes. And the garbage man hears Chucky yelling, and so the garbage man gets in there, and then Chucky climbs out and kills him. Yeah, I really enjoyed that part. I like some of the kill scenes in this movie.
The kills are good in this movie.
The kills are really good in this movie. Just the overall movie, for some reason, it felt cheap.
Yeah, it's not a big budget. It seems like.
Yeah, it's not at all. It felt like I said. It felt like if Nickelodeon were to try to make a horror movie in the mid '90s.
Oh, that's a good way of putting it.
That's almost what it felt like to me. It felt like a Nickelodeon. Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Yes.
Featuring Chucky.
Yeah.
And bam, here it is.
Yeah.
And it just didn't do it for me. But I like some of the things Chucky did, like when they're playing the war games and he puts real ammunition in the guns. I like that. And just like when he's the barber slits his throat. The barber saying he should get a haircut. Which, why would the barber try to give a doll a haircut? I thought that was kind of weird.
Isn't the barber kind of perverted with the haircuts though?
Yeah, he is. Yeah, the barber. Yeah, the barber is. Yeah, he kind of is.
It's a fetish.
He gets off on
he was in
haircuts.
the first Hellraiser.
And then
was he?
Yeah.
And then I noticed De Silva, the chick. That's actually Will Ferrell's wife in Old School.
Yes, it is.
That's why I was like, wow, I recognize her from somewhere.
Yeah. I saw her and I'm like, she's really hot. I need to see
She's better looking now than she was then.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so it's funny it turned out there. Yeah. Adam,
I had this movie at 4. I do have some noteworthy things here. First off, I think if we did a national Child's Play poll on the 8 movies, this one's sitting at 7 or 8. And I disagree highly. I think this movie is so much fun. This movie hit theaters 9 months after Child's Play 2 hit theaters.
That's insane.
It's crazy. Child's Play 2 just had stupid success, and so they were like, bro, let's go right now. Let's make another one. And I actually think for the timing, it was okay. It definitely does look like maybe the cheapest of all of them. Something fun was it's 8 years after Child's Play 2 in regards to the storyline. And so Justin Whalen plays Andy, and I'm sitting here with my wife, and both of us were like, wow, I recognize that guy. And my wife was like, yeah, he was in a Disney original. And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about, but he was in Serial Mom. This is definitely the dude in Serial Mom that doesn't wear his seatbelt. And I love Serial Mom.
Yes.
If you've never seen that movie.
That movie has come up 4 times in the past week in different conversations for me, and I think that garners a rewatch very soon.
I've not seen it in a few years, but I grew up loving that movie greatly, and that's who plays Andy. So
he's also in the Lois and Clark show. I believe that was in the mid-90s.
Oh, right, okay. But I do think it's also noteworthy that this movie just was kind of maybe the darkest of them all. I think switching the bullets out, stuff like that. I mean, this movie was just kind of a little Okay, a little morbid.
It's definitely dark when he's doing that, and we're talking about kids.
Yeah,
you know,
right.
It's kind of bold
with the live grenade and then Whitehurst jumping on that live grenade.
Yeah.
Like that part right there was probably the darkest part of the movie, I thought.
Yeah.
Because the kid had to sacrifice himself because of Chucky,
Right.
you know.
Is anyone else a fan of the way Chucky goes out in this one as much as I am?
It's pretty fun.
Yeah.
I love it.
I like
love
it too.
so much.
Yeah.
I don't like the idea of being able to put him back together the way he like blew up into nothingness. But I feel like that happens it happened in 2 also. I mean, he just got completely blown away. But whatever. You got to keep making movies. But just to, we kind of talked about it. This movie actually had a $13 million budget. I don't feel like that's awful for its time.
No, it's not.
It made 5.7 on opening weekend and only made just under 20 worldwide. So it really didn't do great, which either tells you people weren't too fond with 2, or maybe they were just kind of like, I'm kind of over a killer doll.
Which I think is what changed Bride.
Right.
Where they're like, we need to, and also Scream as well. They were like, we need a new direction for this character.
Yeah, I've only watched this the one time, and it's just one I never wanted to go back to, and revisit like I do some of the others. And I think part of that is I don't connect with this Andy like I do Andy in the first 2 movies, especially like you said. This movie was released 9 months after the second one, and all of a sudden Andy's 10 years older. I'm like, I never understood that choice. It's like, just get away from Andy then.
The other one appears in the movie too in pictures, which I thought was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Usually they don't do that, which means they got to pay them royalties. But
and I think a good point to be made about the storyline is, I think in the first movie we're told Chucky has to take over the body of the person he shared his secret with. So he goes to this school thinking it has to be Andy, but then he decides it won't be Andy. So there's kind of a storyline,
where they could have just done without Andy then. Yeah, because they completely change who he's trying to put his soul into.
I'm thinking Chucky at first figured that's the way it has to be in the first doll that I'm in. But now that I'm in a new doll...
I think he actually wanted revenge, now that I think about it.
Now that at first, because he was wanting to go to Andy, then he realized, hey, I'm in a new doll now. Now that I'm in a new doll, then the first person I see now can be that person.
And I definitely hear you with the revenge thing, but he really doesn't pay attention to Andy in
this
movie. He's following Tyler around the whole time.
Right,
so
right.
I don't know.
No, what I meant was I think he initially wanted revenge, and then was like, I'm just going to take this small kid to do it.
Right.
Yeah. What they could have done then is just a cold open with him killing Andy finally, and just ending that, and him trying to find a new kid.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I enjoyed it. It wouldn't be like my top 5. Well, I don't know. Maybe top 5.
Yeah. Personally, I think this is a good spot for it right here at 6. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, we good to go? We have to.
Yeah,
that was
to go. All right, number 5. All right.
I'm going to stab that.
So just
haven't even been announced yet.
You're not even gonna let Adam speak his mind on the movie first?
We can talk about it when it gets played. That's fine.
Okay, all right.
That's fine.
All right, so Adam laid Curse of Chucky.
And Andre stabbed it immediately. I just want to let you guys know you guys are both out of stabs now.
Good.
Yep.
Okay.
I honestly was hoping to get the 8 so I could just play the original Child's Play and force him to use his stab. I came in here with a strategy.
Wow.
I know he did.
That is a dick
I know. He made the mistake of telling me that he thought 2 and 3 were better than the original right off the bat.
I did. I made that mistake.
I
was
think,
like, why am I talking to the person that I'm playing this
I
game
think
with?
one other person in this room might actually agree with him.
Ooh.
We'll see.
Looky there.
We'll see.
All right.
So Curse of Chucky was stabbed off at 5.
No,
That sucks.
Not
That
even-
movie's kind of trash. Bro.
not even.
I'm glad he did that, though. That movie needs to be higher.
Really?
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep.
Oh,
I dig the 2 straight to video
I want
ones.
to admit, The Curse is the only one I have not seen. I did not.
I think
get
it's
a chance
still
to
that
see
one's still on Netflix too.
No.
Is it not?
No.
Then this is what I got to do.
This is the one I've been waiting for since Spot 8. All right, at number 5, Adam has played the remake of Child's Play.
Yeah. All right. The remake of Child's Play. So, here we go. Mancini was not a part of this. They asked him to be, and he was actually pretty pissed off about it. Because this is his baby. And MGM held the rights to the original Child Play, therefore they have the ability to remake a movie. And they asked him, hey, would you want to come on and be a director on your own invention? And he was like, yeah, no, thank you. I think I'll pass on that. And he was not very excited.
He made the right choice because he's still working on his original stuff.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, I'll admit I haven't watched this one yet, and I kind of refused it because of that with Mancini not being involved.
Yeah. So Mark Hamill is actually the voice of Chucky, who we obviously know as Luke Skywalker, and the dude only has 340 IMDb credits to his name. I mean, he voices literally everything. So there's that. That is another difference. But, so yeah, Child's Play 2019. So Caslin Corporation launches Buddy. And this is a doll that kind of adapts to its surroundings. It connects to any other Caslin product, which is basically anything you can think of. There's an assembly factory in Vietnam, which is where this movie kicks off. And this dude, who you can tell is kind of a daydreamer, just not a hard worker, he ends up getting fired. So before he can get out of there, he manipulates a doll, kind of turns off all the niceness in this doll so that it has he probably doesn't know what this thing is capable of, but he knows it might not go great. So he kind of just manipulates one single doll and then throws himself out of a window, which is it seems like kind of a tribute to maybe the original Child's Play, because he fell probably 5 stories from this building onto a car. So there's that. So Karen and Andy Barkley, no longer played by Catherine Hicks and Alex Vincent, but Aubrey Plaza and Gabriel Bateman. They are the ones that this story follows. And they've just moved into a Chicago apartment. And Karen's boyfriend, Shane, he's always around, and Andy's not a big fan. But she's trying to prepare Andy for his birthday, get him to make friends. And she ends up blackmailing a coworker into letting her take one of these Buddy dolls that's been returned. It's been opened. And he kind of tells her, like, yeah, we don't put them back on the shelf. We just end up throwing them away or whatever. So she blackmails him into saying, hey, my son's birthday is coming up, so I'm just going to take this home. And so she does. She takes it home to Andy. And, for an early birthday gift. And the doll ends up naming itself Chucky, gets stupid attached to Andy. And as it sees violence, it kind of becomes violent. Because this was what that man shut off, was the ability to avoid violence and not speak or act in a certain way. The story goes along and that they end up making some friends. I don't remember their names, Pug and something, I don't know, something weird. But Chucky ends up following Shane, the boyfriend, home one night. We discover he's a married man having an affair. And he does this because he knows that Andy doesn't like him. And he's so attached to Andy and knows Andy is his owner. And basically the whole theme, the whole point of this movie is anything that upsets Andy and keeps him from playing with Chucky, Chucky will eliminate. That's basically what's going on in this movie. So, there's actually some pretty fun kills here. He ends up killing the mom's boyfriend because he's in the way of his relationship with Andy. And he ends up killing the old lady that lives down the hall because she ends up saying something about, oh, Andy's my new best friend type of thing. And even that's a threat to just their time together. I mean, that's how crazy this doll gets. So, it's kind of a fun little ride, and it ends up in the shopping mall where Aubrey Plaza works, and eventually this cop, the detective, who is the son of the old lady who lived down the hall, ends up realizing Andy must be the one behind these murders. And so he comes to the mall and is going to shut Andy down, and he realizes, oh, no, he's not, because every toy, everything that can go wrong in this mall is just going berserk right now. It's kind of actually a really cool, chaotic scene. It's probably the only good part of this movie, honestly, is the mall and just how crazy it gets, and people are just dying left and right from drones and dolls and all sorts of crazy stuff. But Andy and his friends end up having a chance to escape. But Chucky lets Andy know, I've got your mom, and if you don't come save her, she's going to die. And so, not to spoil it, because it's not even out on DVD yet, I don't think. But
I think it is, actually.
No, let's spoil it.
you want? Well, whatever.
Yeah.
Spoilers for Child's Play
Okay,
remake.
it really doesn't matter. Whatever.
I mean, you know how it's going to end when you watch.
Yeah, for sure. But it basically comes down to Andy, his mom, and the detective versus Chucky in the end. And yeah, obviously they come out on top. But in the end, there's this whole recall of these Chucky dolls, and they kind of have these really quick little snippets that show you like, oh, maybe a few other dolls are going haywire too. So maybe that leaves the door open for something else. I really kind of hope not. I hope they leave it alone and let Mancini get back in this and do his thing. But yeah, that is the Child's Play reboot.
I had it at 3. Personally, I actually enjoyed this movie a lot. I liked the take on it. It seemed more realistic than the original, for sure. The take on it, it had a very connection, kind of like Terminator, in a sense, to where it's a artificial intelligence that can create and it uploads information and kind of does what it wants with it.
Sure.
And so since the firewalls and safeties are turned off on this doll, what it sees is what it interprets. And since it has a connection with Andy, anything that, like he said, upsets Andy, and not just it keeps him from hanging out with Andy, but even upsets him, he wants to eliminate because he thinks it's going to make Andy happy. So like in one scene, the cat scratches, his cat scratches Andy, and Andy's like, stupid cat, like, I hate you. So he's thinking, well, the cat hurt Andy, so to keep Andy safe, I got to kill the cat.
Right. So
what does Chucky do? Kills the cat.
Right.
And I'm not a big fan of cats, so I didn't mind that scene at all. I actually enjoyed that, to be honest with you. And then like Shane, like he said, he wanted, Andy wanted Shane out of his life, so he kills Shane. And I really like that murder scene because there's an earlier scene in this where these kids are playing with Chucky, and they put a pen in his hand, and they want him to stab the stuffed animal, and they want him to say, "This is for Tupac." And so when he kills Shane, right before he stabs him, he says, "This is for Tupac," and then he stabs him with the knife several times, and I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah, his death was brutal.
I laughed when I watched that scene.
Yeah,
I laughed quite a bit. And so like I just liked the concept that they took on it, and it seemed more plausible and realistic of how Chucky went about, like almost like he wasn't trying to be evil. He was just trying to do what he thought he was supposed to do to keep Andy happy.
Yeah, that was weird for me. I didn't find this Chucky like that evil. Like,
and I think that's why I liked it, because it had a whole new take on it, and it just seemed fresh, and it seemed more realistic.
Yeah, well, they definitely had to tune it up for this era of technology and that. But yeah, I'm surprised you guys liked this much, but yeah.
Just another noteworthy thing is that Smith and Kratzenberg are the guys who are doing the 8 remake, and they're the ones that produced this movie as well. And then it had, if anybody's interested, it had a $10 million budget. It did 14 on opening weekend and ended up with 43 worldwide. So not too shabby, really.
Probably getting a sequel.
Yeah. I have no interest in watching this. Especially after hearing like why this doll becomes evil, because I haven't really read into the plot besides he's not a serial killer anymore.
Yeah, that opening I have a real problem with, but like it just doesn't make sense. Like, I'm getting fired, so I'm making this one doll evil. Like, it's I didn't buy it, but there's good stuff in the movie. There's some interesting humor with the head of a character. Well, not the head. I'm sorry. Yeah. A watermelon of
the face.
Right.
Yeah. And I think he got that because they were watching Texas Chainsaw Massacre sequel, and they saw Leatherface.
Right.
And Chucky saw that too, and so he kind of took that from that movie.
Right.
Yep.
And I'm just sort of so sick of seeing like Stranger Things influenced movies. This sort of turns into
where everything has to be a group of kids against the evil.
Yeah. And so that turns into that a little bit, and I didn't really care for that. And the cop is really dumb in this movie, I thought. But it's not my list. So
number 5 for the remake.
I'm shocked, but I like that I'm shocked.
This was the real wild card, because I honestly had no idea where this went.
Yeah, I actually didn't mind this movie at all. I enjoyed it.
I'm I'm pretty shocked by this list.
I think, and I think a reason why I have it higher than a lot of these other movies because it's better made. It's much better made than a lot of these other movies.
Absolutely, it's like they actually
better acting,
they cared
better
about what they were doing.
It's just so much better put together than a lot of these other movies.
All right.
Let's let them draw the final 4 picks that we got here.
I'm gonna go Andre first this time.
All right, I'll count it down while they're picking it up here. Number 8, we had Seed of Chucky. Number 7, Cult of Chucky. Number 6, Child's Play 3. Number 5, Child's Play from 2019. We are now in the top 4 for the Child's Play countdown.
Interesting list. List.
So we got 4 picks left. I don't know. Do you have a prediction for number 1,
well,
Blake?
I mean, my head tells me it should be the original, but I feel like number 2 is really loved. So I don't know.
I think it's going to come down to who has those the 2 and number 1. So who has the number 4 pick?
All right.
Adam has the number 4 pick.
Right. And you're gonna play Curse of Chucky at the high.
I think we knew this was coming.
He's getting rid of it. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Let's hear about Curse of Chucky, Adam.
I'm starting to think that maybe I just like older horror more than modern horror. The way that people are telling me that I'm crazy for Curse and Cult being so low on my list, because I actually have Curse at 6. I don't know. I don't really like it, but okay, here we go. Chucky. This takes place 9 years after Seed, by the way, and it was released on Blu-ray and DVD October of 2013. So, Curse of Chucky. Chucky arrives in the mail of Nika and Sarah Pierce's house. Nika, we talked about, obviously, in Cult. She is paraplegic, and no time is wasted as Sarah is stabbed to death the first night that we are in this house with them. And it's ruled a suicide. And so here comes this whole group of people: Nika's sister Barb, Barb's husband Ian, their daughter Alice, their nanny Jill, and Father Frank. And Alice finds Chucky very early on, and she's told that she can have him. And so a really fun early scene in this movie is that Alice and Nika are putting the evening meal together for everybody. And Chucky poisons just one bowl of this chili that we're having. And it's kind of fun because they're all sitting down eating, and there's just this scene, and you're just sitting here like, oh man, who is it? Someone's about to die. They're obviously eating this poison. And it ends up being Father Frank, who kind of frantically gets away from the table and speeds off, and then we see that he got in a bad car accident. And it's a really fun scene when they kind of pull the car apart and his head just kind of falls off. So that's a pretty fun part of the movie. Meanwhile, you got Nika investigating kind of Chucky and Charles Lee Ray and starting to piece some things together and trying to warn everybody, put that doll down and stay away from it. There's something definitely weird about this doll. And so another fun scene is Chucky electrocuting Jill. She's kind of the in-home maid of the sister Barb and her husband Ian. And when he does that, it blacks the house out. So when that happens, Barb goes looking for Alice and discovers that Chucky's face is make-upped over, and there's stitching under what's going on here, and it freaks her out, and it's another fun kill where Chucky just puts a knife through her eyes or whatever. I think that's how it went. And so yeah, this kind of just turns into one of those one house, one night type of movies, which I kind of dig stuff like that. It's pretty fun. And so Ian actually ends up believing that Nika is the killer and kind of disarms her. And he checks the footage of this camera that he put in Chucky to catch his wife in an affair with the maid or whatever she is. And it's actually a kind of cool scene because he's watching the footage of this video, and then he clicks the live feed of what's happening, and here's Chucky walking into the room with the camera on him, but he kind of sits there for a while, and by the time he realizes what's going on, it's too late, and he ends up getting his jaw chopped off, which is another kind of fun kill. And then when he goes after Nika, she kind of blocks it with her legs, which are obviously dead, so doesn't really harm her at all. But he ends up pushing her off the balcony, which I'm just going to say would have probably killed her, but does not. Doesn't even really faze her too much, actually. And this is where we get into why is Chucky in this house and what is going on here. And I should note that we do earlier see Charles Lee Ray in these family videos that these guys are watching. And everybody's just kind of like, who's that guy? He's creepy, whatever, whatever. But we know who it is from watching the series.
Well, we got to say, Nika, when she's on the internet looking up about Charles Lee Ray, she's a picture of him and realizes it's the same guy that she saw in the video. So that's how she knows for sure that Chucky is.
Yes.
That's how she connects it all together.
Absolutely. And so she's kind of asking him, like who are you exactly, and what is going on here? And we get this backstory of Charles Lee Ray and Nika's mother, Sarah, and he was apparently some family friend who just fell in love with Sarah, and obviously he's a psycho, so takes things a little further than most would, and ends up killing her husband and then kidnapping her. I hate it when that happens. And, so they go to this storyline of having her kind of tied up in this basement of some sorts, and she ends up betraying him and somehow alerting the police of where they are. And so before he makes a run, he stabs her in the stomach, and she's pregnant with Nika at this time, and we discover that this is why she's paraplegic. And then we discover that the reason he needed to come back for revenge is because his flee from the cops in that moment is where the very first Child's Play picks up, when he is fleeing from the cops. And obviously it is what made him have to put himself into a doll, which is not ideal. So he was a little pissed, and he wanted to come back and kill the woman and her family who made that happen. Even
more pissed than he already was.
Yeah, and he's pretty upset already. So the cop ends up showing up and sees Nika with a knife and decides she's crazy. She's the one behind all this. She ends up getting sent to the mental hospital at the end of this movie, and the cop has Chucky for trial for evidence, and the officer has him in a bag in the front of his car and sees this bag breathing, and when he's going to open it, here's Tiff as Jennifer. I don't even know what's going on again, in the back, and slits his throat. It looks a lot like the beginning of Bride of Chucky, pretty much the same exact thing going on. And then we just get into this scene where Alice comes home. She's with her grandma now to find Chucky, and he's about to take over her body, but then we just see grandma kind of come back to life. Chucky thought he had her killed, but she kind of shoots up, and then it gets away from that. And then a fun post-credit scene in this movie where Chucky arrives at Andy's, and it's another example of how are you shipping yourself all over the place. And he's kind of looking around. Andy's on the phone, and Chucky gets out of this box, and he's looking around and turns right into a shotgun. And Andy says, "Play with this," and just blows him away. So, yeah, that is Curse of Chucky.
I actually loved this movie. It might be my favorite of the series.
Woo!
Wow.
It might be.
You too, Casey?
It's up there. This movie's good.
I actually genuinely enjoyed this movie a lot.
I need to watch this movie.
Yes, this movie is.
So what did you like about it, Andre?
I just thought it was a very. I think as far as the story goes for this individual movie, it was the best one. I think I had the best writing as far as the story and how they didn't really try to force. Like, it was all just done in one house. So they didn't really have to force a whole lot with this one. Yeah. And just how they tied everything together, too, as well at the end when she finds out that Charles Lee Ray was a friend of the family, and how the whole connection and how it went back to the very first one and how it tied it all together at the end. And and just the kills in this one too. I liked a lot of the kills, and it's almost like an evil game of Clue in a house where it's just like, hey, who's killing all these people? And it turns out that it's the doll, you know.
So is it safe to say that you would have stabbed this if you had a stab and had it higher?
Yes. Considering what is left to be played, yeah.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think Curse of Chucky is really solid.
It is.
Yeah, I honestly think it's two out of the two scariest movies in the series. This and probably the original, but it's filled with really good suspenseful moments. Having the main character as a paraplegic in a wheelchair this entire movie adds a completely new element that they didn't have, and I think Fiona Dourif is really good in these movies.
Yes,
that's what's
Brad Dourif's daughter. Yeah, and I think the character and the family development and the whole the family feud that goes on in this movie too, how they're all just kind of the sister's very greedy. Right. She wants Nika to sell the home so she can basically get this money and wants to put Nika in this assisted living, and tries to make her feel really sorry for herself that she can't take care of herself. Where it seems like, hey, the sister's greedy and kind of evil and like cheating on her husband with the live-in maid. Like, you know what I mean? It's almost like you wanted to see her die.
Yeah.
You know, but like you kind of felt sorry for the husband and the daughter Alice and Nika, and I don't know. It just had a lot of different elements in this movie that the rest of them don't. Like you really don't care a lot for the other characters in other movies, but you kind of find yourself caring for the characters more in this movie than the other ones.
Is this your first time watching this?
Yes, it was my very first time watching it. Yeah, and I wish I would have watched it sooner.
I need to watch this movie.
Yes.
I really wish I had seen this before this countdown.
Yeah, it's probably it's in my top 2.
Wow.
For the series.
Interesting. All right. Wow.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. All right. Number 4, Curse of Chucky.
Who's got number 3? Ooh.
Right. Andre has number 3.
This is where it's
all going to come down to what number you have here.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so at number 3, Andre has selected Bride of Chucky.
Yeah, so Bride of Chucky. This is where Chucky.
Did we talk about this one earlier?
Yeah, quite a bit.
Yeah,
we did actually.
Yeah, so why number 3 and not any higher?
Not any higher. I actually had it lower at first.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, it just felt to me kind of like that new direction that they were taking.
Yeah.
I couldn't take it serious. It didn't work for me.
Okay.
It really didn't. It just felt more comedic than anything. I couldn't take it serious.
So this sounds like Adam should explain why she needs to be this high, right?
Yeah, I don't think it should be this high at all.
I don't know, man. I just really enjoy this movie.
Sure.
I really enjoy the mid 90s horror, the Scream and
the MTV horror.
I do. Yeah, absolutely.
Andre's like shaking his head like no.
This is a movie that I think it's the most entertaining of all the movies. Just pure, I just want to sit down and be entertained by a movie. I think this is it, with the combination of comedy and really fun kills and one-liners, and seeing some faces you recognize and hearing some music that you've heard before. I just think this movie was really entertaining. Honestly, I do. John Ritter plays Chief Warren. That's a lot of fun.
Sometimes it comes down to just really enjoying what's happening,
For sure.
and you can't explain it. So.
Yeah. I mean, it's a really fun in the middle of this movie when everybody's dying, and you've got the couple, Jesse and who is it? Jesse and Jade, sitting here scared to death because they're like running away together, about to elope, but they think the other person's killing all these people, and they have no idea what's going on, and it's these dolls that they're trying to take to New Jersey. To dig up Charles Lee Ray's grave to get this necklace thing so they can do their voodoo crap and enter people's bodies. I really just enjoy this movie. I don't know what to tell you. There's scenes, the waterbed scene in the hotel with glass just shattering everywhere. I just really enjoy that, and it's what made Chucky kind of fall in love with Tiff and be like, okay, yes, we should get married, and I love you so much, and whatever. It's just a fun movie.
I want to point out that the poster for Bride of Chucky looks exactly like this, like the Scream.
The Scream one,
it does.
Yeah.
It has a solid cliffhanger ending too.
Oh man, I'm really excited to rewatch a lot
Yeah.
of these now.
Yeah, the ending's fun. A couple fun facts is that Julia Stiles had the Jade role in Left for 10 Things I Hate About You. Thank God, because that movie's gold. Absolutely. So that's cool. This is Brad Dourif's personal favorite of them all. The film actually takes place 1 month after the third movie.
What?
Timing-wise.
Wow.
Yeah, that's really odd. And then, Rob Zombie has 2 songs in here, which is
Yep, I saw that.
awesome. And this movie was made on a $25 million budget, which is massive in my opinion. It did 11.8 opening weekend, but ended up with over 50 worldwide.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And it's still making big money merchandising. Like, this is the one they still market and merchandise. And
Interesting.
if you buy a Chucky doll, it's probably the Bride of Chucky one.
sure.
I hope Don Mancini is making all that cheddar off this. I really do.
Yeah, because I mean, if you just got a regular good guy doll, it doesn't look as
No.
sinister. You know, when you see the stitches on it,
Yeah.
then it just brings a lot more
Adds a
character,
cool
a lot more
element to
character
Chucky.
to it. You know.
I think Chucky's look was awesome in this movie, but it's I'm sure they also went that route because you have the female doll as well, and they sell that too. I see them paired together all the time. So yeah, this is just a fun movie, man. I could just sit down and be like, I want to laugh at something, and this is it.
And that's why it's so low for me, because I don't want to laugh at, necessarily. Like, I like the one-liners Chucky's gonna have, but I just want his one-liners to be funny. I don't want the movie in general to be funny.
Yeah.
And the movie in general is funny. It doesn't do it for me when it's supposed to be a horror movie.
Yeah. Okay.
That's why it's so low for me.
It's a valid
point.
I mean, I think you both make valid points of why you like and dislike this movie. Because it is a sharp turn from where the first 3 are, like a big sharp turn. So.
All right, so I think it's all just going to come down to who has the 2 and 1, because I think I know what they're.
Oh.
Thank God I have number 2.
I'm gonna read this one.
I'm really happy about
that. With the number 2 pick, Adam has chosen the original Child's Play.
Yes. The original Child's Play.
Adam, I want to hear your reasoning.
I have Child's Play at number 3 and Bride at number 2. So I'm actually I'm good with the way this turned out. Hearing Andre's opinion on Bride. So I'm actually good with this. All right. So here you go. Don Mancini with his baby, man, bringing it to life. Tom Holland directed this, and he wrote Psycho 2. He wrote and directed the Fright Night movies, so that's pretty cool. This movie, November 9th, 1988, which is like where the movie picks up. They actually make note of that is the night that Charles Lee Ray ends up putting himself into a Chucky doll. So, you got Charles Lee Ray, played by Brad Dourif, who voiced Chucky in all but the reboot. And he's cornered in a toy store with no option but to use some black magic voodoo spell and put himself in a good guy doll because he is dying and there is a detective that is after him, and his partner took off on him. His partner, Eddie Caputo, by the way, and he comes up later in the movie. But so that's, you kind of just see that happen, and then it takes you to this family of Karen and Andy, played by Catherine Hicks and Alex Vincent, and she can't really afford a good guy doll, but her friend / coworker comes up and says, hey, there's a guy in the back alley who's got a good guy doll. I bet we can go get it for super cheap. So these things are $100 brand new, and I'm pretty sure they get it for $30 off this dude, if I remember right. And so she's really excited to take this doll home to Andy because she really didn't think she'd be able to get him one. And the friend / coworker ends up having to babysit because she has to stay at work on Andy's birthday. And she ends up being Chucky's very first kill, as a doll anyway, I should say, because Charles Lee Ray has killed tons of people. And it's pretty simple deal. Just takes a little hammer to the face and falls backwards out of like a 6-story window. So
Effective.
Yeah, there you go. So then you just kind of go through, this movie of everybody wants to blame Andy for these kills that are going on, and Andy swears that it's this doll that's making him do it. And there's even a scene somewhere near the front where Chucky has him skip school to get on a subway to go to his ex-partner Eddie Caputo to get revenge on him. And in my opinion, this is kind of where, if I were in law enforcement, it would be like, you're telling me this doll is Charles Lee Ray and he led you to Eddie Caputo, so, yeah, there's clearly something going on, but, that's not how movies work. Nobody believes Andy. And, eventually you've also got the cop, who's a big part of the movie too, the detective, Mike Norris. And eventually they all figure out that this is Chucky, and it's basically, again, kind of just in this house, three on one type of thing. And they end up getting the best of him. The mom throws him in the fireplace, and kind of how we learn in Scream, everybody comes back for one last scare, and Chucky just kind of keeps coming back. But eventually they kind of blow him up, and that's basically where we're at. The original Child's Play.
Yep. I had this at number 2, exactly where I had it, so perfectly fine with that. My favorite scene of the whole entire series is in this movie, though, when the mother comes home and she's looking at Chucky. This is after Andy told her that Chucky was behind the murders, and she's looking at the box and notices the batteries fall out of the box, and realizes that Chucky's been operating without the batteries that entire time, and realizes that, this doll has a mind of its own soul. And just that scene right there, I think, is the best scene of the entire series.
I agree with that.
Very chilling scene, and just the whole atmosphere you get of this movie is very 80s horror and very genuine horror. It's trying to be a horror movie, not trying to be funny whatsoever. It's a genuine horror movie for me, and that's why I think I enjoyed it so much more than the rest of them, because that's what it's supposed to be. And it set the tone that I think that the series should have kept. And since a lot of the series didn't keep that tone, which is why some of the later ones fell off for me. So I really liked the whole essence of this movie quite a bit. Yeah. It didn't need a whole lot of Chucky and murders, because it kind of already set the tone of, you knew this was a sinister doll, and the suspense was already there.
Especially with the kid being the threat.
It didn't need to do a whole lot. Yeah. Like, it did very good at getting its point across on what it was trying to be, that it didn't need to force anything onto you.
Which to that point, I think if I was rating these just basically on entertainment value, I don't really care for the original Child's Play very much. I wasn't very entertained watching this movie. I have it at number 2, even on my personal list, because there's something that has to be given to originality, and this is the first of this movie, and you got to consider its time. I'm sure in 1988 people were watching this movie and they were just like, oh my god, what in the world is going on right now? It's just unlike anything they'd seen, and it's crazy. But when it comes to just pure entertainment, it was like a lot of 80s horror, which is kind of just really dull to me. So I don't know.
I was entertained during this movie, and I think it was a very good timing for this movie, because that's when the My Buddy dolls were big.
And also Cabbage Patch dolls.
Yeah, and Good Guy looked just like the My Buddy dolls. And one of my friends had a My Buddy doll, and I remember in first grade we watched this movie, and after watching the movie, he never touched it again. I'm pretty sure that the sales tanked for My Buddy dolls after this movie, and it was a very good play on that, and that's why I think it resonated and played so well with a lot of the audience, especially the younger generation of kids, because it's like, we have toys that look just like this, so it was a new take on horror too. You never saw like a murderous doll running around savagely killing people before, and I have it at number 2 though, personally.
Yeah, and it was near the tail end of the slasher craze of the 80s, and I think it added a little bit of breath of fresh air. You're running into, by this time, Jason's on God knows how many sequels at that point, Freddy, is at least at 3 or 4, and yeah, having a killer doll as the slasher villain, it added a new wrinkle to the genre, and I do think something that is kind of underplayed in this movie and people don't bring up a lot is that Chucky is still kind of funny.
Oh,
he's scary. He's scary, but he still has the one-liners. Like I
think he has one that stands out for me.
In the elevator.
Yeah.
But it's totally within his character that we see throughout the rest of the series.
Right,
so
right.
I don't think it's a complete tonal shift once you get to like Bride and Seed of Chucky. Those are obviously more over the top, but it's the exact same character. So that's why I kind of dig that they've always stuck with Chucky's personality. It's always been the same. So
I think in regards to the storyline too, it's worth noting. I kind of skipped over it, but Chucky thinks he's like invincible. He's like, I'm a doll. You can't hurt me. He even tells the cop, like, you can't hurt me when he's in the car trying to shoot him or whatever, which is weird because he just burnt him with a cigarette lighter like 20 seconds prior to that. But he ends up realizing, oh man, I bleed. Like, I'm turning human. And he goes to, it's not even a part that I cared about much, and I'm, whatever. But he ends up going to this guy who's like some voodoo specialist. I don't even know what's going on. And
I think he's the one that taught him the voodoo to
yeah,
get into the doll.
Yeah. And the dude tells him, the longer you're in that thing, you're not going to be able to get out of it. You're turning into a human. And so that's what kind of strikes the whole, oh man, I need Andy.
Adds a ticking time element to the storyline. Sure. Yeah. So, yeah, number 2, the original Child's Play.
I kind of expect that to happen, actually.
Yeah. So, number 1, we only got one pick left.
Wow.
Andre has that pick. And the number 1 movie in the Child's Play series, Child's Play 2.
Okay, so this is picking up right after the first one. At the end of the first one, so Chucky, gets thrown into a fireplace. So the smart idea would is to take the burnt pieces and try to make a new doll out of it, which they do. And right at the very beginning of the movie, you see one of the scientists starts operating on this doll, gets electrocuted while making this doll, and they realize this is a killer doll. They think nothing of it. Think it's no big deal. This is just this is what normally happens. Like somebody dies on a regular basis, at this job, and they're just like, whatever. And they just kind of throw the doll aside. Like, don't even really, just let some guy take it home with them. One of the, executives of the toy company takes the doll home. They're trying to show that these dolls are safe. And Chucky basically ties up this dude in the car, asks him where Andy's staying, because Andy's mother is now in a insane asylum somewhere because nobody believes that there's this killer doll. Kind of give her that, Sarah Connor treatment. Think, that, she's crazy. She didn't really see what she saw. And so now he's this, Andy's this orphan. He's at this, foster home now. Chucky has this CEO or executive of the toy company take him to the new foster home. And, conveniently enough, the foster home also has a good guy doll. Because why wouldn't they? And it's named Tommy or something like that. And so Chucky basically, buries Tommy out in the yard and underneath the swing set, like the perfect spot to bury him, where nobody's going to be, and takes over as Tommy. And one of my favorite scenes is when he gets on the school bus with Andy and on his homework writes FUB to the teacher. That's probably my favorite part of the movie right there. I think that's hilarious. And he hides in the closet, and Andy has to stay back for detention because of that, and he kills the teacher, and Andy's trying to let everybody know, hey, this Chucky is here, and the Kyle, I think, the sister, yes, foster sister, Kyle, is when she's like sneaking through the window in Andy's room, see that Andy's tied up because Chucky tied him up and tried, passing his soul into him. And of course, the parents walk in the room and think Kyle tied him up or something like that. And then, Chucky kills the father, drops him off the stairs and breaks his neck or something.
It's the most pathetic kill in the entire series. The dude fell 4 feet.
4 feet.
And instantly, as soon as he hit the ground, gone.
Neck his neck breaks and he dies, and everybody thinks it's Andy. So they basically want Andy to leave, and then Chucky basically gets back to the home, or no, Kyle throws Chucky away into the garbage, and then she goes to swing on the swing set. While she's doing that, her feet are kicking up the dirt, sees the Tommy, the other Chucky doll, is buried, and realizes, oh, this doll is Chucky that's killing everybody. He goes back to the garbage can, and of course Chucky's gone. The mother gets killed next, and then Chucky kidnaps Andy and jumps on the back of a good guy truck and takes him to the factory or something. And while the cops are there, like nobody sees this. It's like conveniently is a good guy truck outside of their house, like where they're at, or the detective department. And so Kyle follows him there, and that's where the final scene takes place. This movie, I had it in my bottom 4. I didn't enjoy this movie that much compared to the rest. Like I said, like a lot of them kind of run together. They can kind of be intermingled and interchanged. They're really all very, very close to me. None of them's like super great compared to the others. This isn't like some super classic series with all-time horror classics. A lot of them are very mediocre films. But yeah, this one I had way lower than this right here.
And it's at number 1. Somehow.
And now it's somehow got a number 1. Yep.
Interesting.
And rightfully so.
Yes, I agree. This movie is my number 1. And honest to God, I think it's due to nothing but Kyle's character. I think Kyle is one of the most likable, fun, kind of cute characters.
I really like that actress a lot.
Throughout most of this
good.
series.
She's really good.
I just think she makes it fun. At first, she doesn't want to like Andy because Andy's kind of getting her into trouble and whatever. But it doesn't take long for her to kind of warm up to him, and she's one of the first to realize, there's something going on here, and we need to team up. And she's just this BA cute gal throughout the movie, kind of more of a Friday the 13th type of character to me, I guess. And I just really like her in this movie, and I think she is honestly the reason that it is number 1 on my list.
This movie reminds me a lot of jumping into the Halloween series, Halloween 4, because it has a very similar thing where it's the main character is a young child, and they're in a foster home, and they have to team up with their older sister. That one's against Michael Myers, this one's against Chucky, and it's a very similar tone, and I think it works very well in both of these movies, and I think that's what makes it stand out, is that now Andy has someone else with him. It's not just him trying to convince his mom or the cops. Like, there's someone actually by his side the entire time.
Yeah, I'm with Andre. I think this is one of the worst in the series. Save for the ending, which I think is the best ending of the series.
It's a good ending.
I think the last 15 minutes are like...
It's a perfect climax.
It's
the best setting that you could have.
I watched it this year, and I was surprised at how far it went.
It might have the best kill in the entire series too. With the
Chucky getting killed, or
no, with
eye sockets.
With the I think he's a security guard or something like that, and he ends up on the conveyor belt where they build the good guy dolls and the good
eyes
guy
going to his head.
dolls. Yeah.
I did want to say I think the ending of the first Child's Play is really good as well. Before we move on, but I think like the first hour and 10 minutes are just I don't know. I just did not connect with it.
And I also want to point out with this movie, I got the same feeling I did with Child's Play 3. It felt very cheap to me.
Yeah.
It felt very cheap. It felt like another Nickelodeon horror movie to me.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't know. There's something about it. I just couldn't. I don't know.
I'm with Adam. I like. Is it Kimberly Elise? I think is her name. Yeah. Christine Elise or something.
I like her.
She's really good in this movie, and I wish she kind of had a bigger career. But yeah, I really like Kyle a lot. Because she is the one who's like, oh yeah, like, like she's in and out of foster homes. She knows that you can make friends, but you'll be gone soon. So why even try? And then she slowly comes around to realize that this little boy is correct, and they kind of team up, and it's kind of heartwarming to see that happen in this movie.
For sure, and I just think it's noteworthy that. If you couldn't tell, I'm kind of into box office and budgets and whatnot. So both 2 and 3 had a $13 million budget. 2 did 10.7 on opening weekend, and it did 34 worldwide, which isn't awful, but it's funny that 9 months later, 3 couldn't even break 20.
I think it was just too fast. Probably.
Yeah, it's too soon.
Yeah, and that's why the third one was rushed into production because of how well the second one did.
Were people sitting there saying, how low does my life have to be to go to 2 Chucky movies?
Could you imagine that, going to 2 Chucky movies in a year?
A calendar year, yeah.
Well, if MGM were to do another one and Mancini did one and they happen to come. You never know.
You never know. I was at a concert one time. This was about 10, 12 years ago. And I went by myself. It was up in the cities. And this guy comes up and I was wearing, I had a 9 Inch Nails t-shirt. And this guy walked up and goes, I really like your t-shirt. And I go, oh, thank you. That's very nice of you. And I go, and he's like, you're a fan? I'm like, yeah, I'm a fan. And I go, well, what do you do? And he goes, I'm an actor. And I go, really? Like, would I have noticed you in anything? He's like, I was the kid in Child's Play.
Was it Alex
It
Vincent?
was Alex Vincent. Yeah. So I hung out with this guy for, like an hour before the concert. We talked about music and movies and being in the business and everything. And that's my claim to fame with this series is I met the guy who played.
That's cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's going to be at a horror convention in Iowa this next weekend in October. October? Yeah, the first.
October.
I think the first weekend of October. I wish I could have went, but SuperCon got in the way. But yeah, I would have loved to meet him and get a talk about maybe what's coming next for the Child's Play series. But yeah, looking at this list from the outside perspective, I think it's pretty close to my list because I actually made a list on our website about a year ago, almost when the right before the remake came out, and my list is nearly identical to this one that it ended up being. So besides switching around maybe Cult and Part 3, it's right on the money.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm happy with the list from the outside perspective.
Yeah, I would change some stuff, but honestly, like, not to the point where I'm like really gutted something isn't played.
Yeah.
I think the remake's too high, but I just really dig this entire universe that's been built around this doll of all things, and I don't know, like I had a lot of fun talking about it because now I just really want to go watch some of these. I meant to watch them all before this thing went down so I could get a good perspective, but I don't have time, and this was really cool. I'm shocked. I'm kind of shocked at how this turned out, but I'm not disappointed. It's a lot of good movies.
I want to go back and watch Child's Play 3. I only watched it the one time, and I think it might need a rewatch. I think so. I don't know.
And like Blake, like you had said, I think about a week ago, you said that this series is an underrated series.
I think so. I think it's one of the best horror series.
When it comes to horror, I think it is too. After watching all of them the last week and a half or so.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I'm impressed.
Yeah.
I think just an idea that I just thought of. We should do an entire series ranking, like which is the best horror series of all time.
series,
That could get
that'd be
nuts.
Oh my God, that'd be hard to do.
Like not ranking the individual
Right,
movies,
as
but
a
the
whole.
series as a
Series
whole.
themselves, okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
I think that would be a fun episode
Wow.
to do.
I don't
So
know if my heart could take that, but
we might have to think about
That'd
that
be a
one.
good one too.
I know what series I'd push to the top.
Oh,
I think we all have one.
I
that
know
we,
what the best series is, and I would talk mad.
we should do it. We should
I already
do it.
know
We'll
what
work
you're
on
gonna
it.
say.
Well, we'll have to figure something out.
Yeah.
That's oof.
Ooh, that would be fun. All right, let's count down this series one more time with our official ranking here for the Killer Countdown Child's Play series. Number 8, Seed of Chucky. Number 7, Cult of Chucky. Number 6, Child's Play 3. Number 5, Child's Play 2019, the remake. Number 4, Curse of Chucky. Number 3, Bride of Chucky. Number 2, Child's Play, the original. And number 1, the greatest movie in the Child's Play series, Child's Play 2.
It got 1 on this countdown, but it is not the greatest. I just want to point that out. The way this game is played, it's kind of it's not.
It works.
the game of chance.
It works its magic, but it's not going to be exactly accurate to how each of the individuals playing the game wants it to be, because just the way it's played, which I kind of like in a way.
Yeah.
It's going to mix it up a little bit.
Yeah.
But
I'm impressed with how close this came to my list, though.
Yeah, so do you guys have any final thoughts on the Child's Play series? If I don't know. Where would you tell people to start off, if they want to just jump into it? Tell them to start with the original?
yeah, to start from the original and move on to the top, to the remake. Oh yeah, let's do it in order. That's the way I rewatched them. And that's,
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I watched them
me
in
too.
chronological order. That's the way I would tell someone to hop into it.
Being brutally honest, I did enjoy rewatching these, but they're not movies I'm going to pull out every October. They just aren't.
Yeah, no.
So,
Yeah, me either.
All right, so yeah, that was the Child's Play series. I'm glad I sat this one out. It was fun to just hear other people
involved with this, and
you would have or wouldn't have.
Yeah, I would have.
Oh,
I think so, but
we should have switched last week and this week. Big zombie guy.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, Adam, do you have any final thoughts on any other countdowns that we've done that you need to just air out here to
verbally,
the listeners?
not verbally this time.
Yes.
No, honestly, the series I'm most attached to is Nightmare on Elm Street, and I was a little shocked with the top 3 in that series, but no. Otherwise, man, honestly, the reason I comment is because not a lot of people do, and I wish more people would. You know, I think it's fun to have the discussion and just be like, this is how I would have done it, because I feel like that's why you guys do this, is for the interaction.
We greatly appreciate that.
Yeah, we absolutely do. We love every comment that you have on it.
Yeah, whenever I get a notification that says Adam did it, like,
you're like, oh no.
God, like, what kind of fire am I going to put out now, you know? But no, we were glad that you do that, and we're like, we got to get this guy on so he can back his shit up, you know. Like,
definitely.
So
I hope to come back. There's a lot of horror out there, man.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah, so I'm going to leave off with one thing before we go. I want to hear from Adam and Andre. What's one topic you guys want to cover when you come back?
I actually thought about this, and I don't know if you guys would be cool with it or down to do it, but top 8 Black Mirror episodes.
Oh.
Because I have watched that whole series, and
that's
a fun series to talk about.
I would love to do that with you, Adam.
I would totally be down to do that.
I am interested in that.
Yeah.
Jump into the TV? That'd be cool.
That's a good idea.
It's borderline horror. Some of them are.
Yeah. It's an updated Twilight Zone is what it is.
I would love to do a Twilight Zone one. Yeah.
That's a good idea.
All right.
Because I have my definite number 1, so.
I do too.
All right.
Ooh. Yeah, Casey, you kind of already mentioned it, doing just the countdown of top just horror series.
I think that one would be intense.
I think that should be like 4 players too.
Yeah.
Because I have my favorite series.
I do too. Well, I don't know if I'd call it my favorite. Like, I would base my answers off the most consistently good movies in the series, and I have mine that I would push to the top.
So, when I was at Last Stop buying the Chucky movies I did not have, and kind of explaining to the workers, because I feel like a lot of them know about 605 and what's going on, and I was like, yeah, I'm doing a killer countdown, whatever. And this dude was like, well, you should have done the Leprechaun movies. They're way better. And I'm like, I don't know about that. But it's not been done. So
it hasn't, no.
Leprechaun.
Casey and I have like a master list of ideas, and we have to have close to 30 ideas.
there you go.
I think we have like 50 ideas
Oh, for
on that.
real?
Yeah.
Oof.
We have like 2 years worth of content.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Leprechaun is one of those on there. I'm scared to do that one because I don't want to watch some of them again.
I'm going to let somebody else rewatch the entire series.
I've only seen 3 of them, and that was enough for me.
But was Leprechaun in Space one of them? See, so
Leprechaun in the Hood is where it's
Yep,
at.
that was the last one I watched.
Yeah.
Yep, Leprechaun. I think Ice-T's in that movie.
I have no idea.
I think.
Jennifer Aniston in the original, right?
Yeah.
I've never seen the original.
Original one, yep. Yeah.
We'll do that one eventually. So yeah, we'll wrap this up. Adam, Andre, thank you guys for being on. You'll both be back for sure.
This is a lot of
I think
fun.
we got to have them both on for that series countdown.
I'm down.
Maybe even more people. Maybe do like 6 guys. I don't know. Something big. We'll do something big.
Yeah.
We'll do something big for it. So yeah, thank you guys again for being on.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right, Blake, thank you again for being on. We're going to be back next episode for the Halloween Killer Countdown with myself and Dominic Winnicky. I need to do some rewatches on at least one of them that I haven't seen in a while. So that will be our next episode. You can find the Killer Countdown on our Backlot 605 main feed. You can check that out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, YouTube. And you can check us out on backlot605.com and on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. That has been the Killer Countdown, the Child's Play series. Thank you all for listening. And Blake, do you have the sign off yet?
Is it just don't go into the dark?
We need to come up with a better one.
Casey's like, don't go in the dark. I think I said it one time.
You said it one time.
He's like, say what you said last time. And I'm like, what was that? He goes, don't go in the dark. And I'm like, okay, don't go in the dark. But we haven't thought of a sign off yet, and I keep forgetting to do that. So, don't go in the dark.